One thing that's really important to understand as you become more familiar with climate science is that the Earth is a well-connected system. When we look at the Arctic, that system includes things that are frozen. For example, here in yellow, you see land ice like glaciers and the Greenland ice sheet. Then you have these light blues showing us where there is sea ice on the Arctic Ocean surface. And in pinks, we see permafrost, or frozen ground, that underlies most of the landscape in the Arctic. But changes in these systems in the Arctic also communicate with the rest of our connected Earth system. And unfortunately, we can cause changes in this Earth system that can create vicious amplifying loops. And as we take action, we want to minimize how many of these vicious amplifying loops are occurring, and we want to limit their ability to become more severe. So I want to provide a few examples of what these vicious amplifying loops look like and motivate you to avoid them arising. One is in sea ice. This is a picture of sea ice on the Arctic Ocean. And what you can really clearly see is that we have a very bright white sea ice surface, and we have a very dark ocean surface. The different brightnesses of these surfaces are something that we measure in something called albedo. If you have a high albedo, you're a bright surface. If you have a low albedo, you're a dark surface. When it comes to sea ice and snow, you can see that surface is really bright. It has a really high albedo, and that means just like wearing a white t-shirt outside, it's able to reflect a lot of solar energy and heat back out to space. So this sea ice is reflecting more than 90% of that incoming energy from the sun, keeping it from warming the ocean. Unfortunately, if we look at places where we have lost sea ice and we're exposing this dark ocean surface, it's just like switching out for a black t-shirt. And this dark ocean surface is absorbing most of the sun's energy. So unfortunately, this can create an amplifying loop where as we're warming the Earth's surface, we lose sea ice in the Arctic, thus revealing a dark surface, which is better at absorbing the sun's energy, warming the ocean surface, and further melting sea ice. This producing one of these vicious amplifying loops. Another example is in permafrost, or frozen ground. As you saw, permafrost underlies most of the Arctic, and this important ecosystem holds a lot of carbon in the soil. So the Arctic permafrost is doing us a great job of holding carbon in the Earth rather than allowing it to escape to the atmosphere. Unfortunately, what can happen is that as we're thawing our permafrost, we are warming it up the Earth and we're allowing more biological activity to occur. This activity releases carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere, causing further warming around the globe. And that warming in these places where you have permafrost can cause further thaw. So this is another one of those vicious amplifying cycles where as we warm the Earth, we might cause permafrost to thaw, release more carbon dioxide and methane, and further warm the Earth. So we want to limit the ability for this cycle to really take off. And then finally, an example from Earth's land ice. This is a satellite picture looking down at the edge of the Greenland ice sheet. You can see land revealed here in brown and this dark, dark, dark ocean surface, as well as some clouds. But if we look over on the right, we're taking a view directly of the Greenland ice sheet. And you can see as we move towards the interior of the ice sheet, we have a smooth, bright surface. That surface is created from last winter's snow. And you can see that winter snow is bright and reflecting solar radiation and heat. Unfortunately, as we move towards the edge of the ice sheet, with our warm summers, we're melting away last year's snow and we're revealing this dark glacial ice surface that might have dust, soot, algae on it and creating a dark surface. And we also have dark melt ponds dotting this surface. Unfortunately, just like with sea ice, this dark surface is better at taking up heat and energy from the sun and causing further melt, thus creating another vicious amplifying cycle where warm temperatures melt away our winter snow, revealing dark glacier ice, which is better able to absorb heat and energy from the sun and create more melt. So there are a number of these different kinds of cycles in the Earth system. The challenge for us is avoiding them running away. So we live in a connected Earth system. Change can cause knock-on effects throughout the system, but we can minimize the potential for these to become irreversible tipping points through our human action. But time is limited. Once some of these cycles really get underway, even if we take strong action in the future, we might not be able to tamp down this amplifying cycle. So this really is the time to prevent these cycles from becoming more runaway events.